We have had several S's in our journey. We have talked about suffering. We have talked about sin. We have talked about salvation. We have talked about sacrifice. We have talked about soul. And I won't say it yet. We will talk about something that will be the climax of human history. But before telling you, let me say this. When Buddhism talks about suffering, it describes it as something personal, something that only happens to you or to me at an individual level. But what about the suffering that we see all around us? What about the wars, the diseases, the disasters, the killings that we have around us? What about the suffering of the planet? What about global warming? What about us ending ourselves as a species because of our negligence? These questions talk about something deeper than individual suffering. Of course, we cannot experience someone else's suffering, but we can see that suffering as an idea, as a concept, is surrounding our planet, not only at the individual level, but also at the societal level, and why not, almost universal level. When does this end? And now comes the S that I want to talk about in this video. The second coming of Jesus. The moment in human history when all suffering, yes, you heard me well, all suffering will stop. Because God cannot tolerate this to go on and on and on forever and ever. In the previous video, I talked about samsara, the cycle of rebirth. But what about the cycle of suffering? What about going with this madness that surrounds us on and on? That's why the Bible says that in the same way Jesus left this earth after he died on the cross and was resurrected, in the same way he will come back. But he will not come back as a servant. He will come back as a king, claiming those who belong to him, claiming those who said, I accept him, I accept his sacrifice, I understand that I want something better than this life. Of course, how can we believe in the second coming of Jesus? That might be your question. Well, since it has not happened yet, it might be a bit difficult to believe. But let me put it this way. In the same manner that no one doubts the historicity of Buddha, and that means that he really was on this earth, he walked among us, he was with his disciples, he preached, and he had followers. In the same way, the historicity of Jesus Christ has been confirmed on and on and on. And because he came for the first time, I believe he will come for the second time. Every day we have more natural disasters, more diseases, more pandemics, more problems. And I believe God is very much interested in stopping all this suffering that surrounds us and putting an end to the problem of sin. Yes, Jesus says that he will come back. But it's really up to us to believe if that will happen or not. However, regardless of what we believe, let me tell you, the second coming of Jesus will be a reality sooner than people expect. What will be your answer to it? That is the real question.